I forgot. Good evening. Welcome to the Apopka City Council meeting of December the 16th. We have a great honor here to swear in our newest city commissioner, Diane Velasquez, and just wanted to give them a few minutes to come up and we'll do the swearing in, and then we'll want to first read this, and then we'll have you come up and swear her in. Okay, I need to announce the results of the runoff election. Ask for a motion to ratify the certified election results.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Bankson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you want to come on up, Ed and Diane?
I forgot mine.
I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Diane Velasquez, do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States
the Constitution and the government of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state
under the Constitution of the state,
and under the charter of the city of Apopka,
under the charter of the city of Apopka.
and I will well and faithfully
I will and will faithfully
perform these duties
perform these duties
of Commissioner of the city of Apopka,
of Commissioner of the city of Apopka,
in which I am now to enter.
of which I am now to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
With that,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
so you get to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Commissioner Velasquez, why don't you come on up and take your seat, and why don't you go ahead and you want to have a few remarks so they can hear you over the YouTube channel, please.
You just sign too. And Ed, can you come up here for a moment, please? Thank you. Just sign. I'll let you sign that one there.
This one?
Mhm. Before you leave, I think you need to do it before you leave.
I'm a lefty, so.
Okay. And you can go ahead and sign if you want to. And I will,
Oh, thank you.
yep, that's fine. And you got one more. Just sign this one, please.
I'll make this very quick, other than to say I want to thank everyone who came out tonight. This is an honor for me to return to the city council and to have the privilege to work with Mayor Nelson, with Commissioner Becker, with Commissioner Smith, and of course with Commissioner Bankson. And I'm here to work for everyone that lives in the city of Apopka. And thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you for electing me to be your commissioner to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Okay, approval of minutes. We got council minutes from November 18th and from December 2nd. Need a motion to approve the two sets of minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson. Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, presentation, Lorena Potter, Sir Toma. Come on up. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Got so, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Commissioner Bankson will.
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you again as we gather together on behalf of the city, Lord, to make the decisions that are important that affect all people. And so we ask for wisdom tonight. We ask for guidance in all of our thoughts, that we would do the things that are most pleasing before you and beneficial to all. And so we thank you for another good night, and we thank you, Father, for Commissioner Velasquez joining us once again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fact of the day, December 16th, 1773. At midnight on December 16th, 1776, the Boston Tea Party occurred in the Boston Harbor. A group of Massachusetts colonists disguised themselves as Mohawk Indians, boarded 3 British ships, and threw 342 chests of tea into the harbor. This act of defiance was to protest the British Parliament's Tea Act of 1773, which provided beneficial tax rates to one sole company at the expense of other traders in America. The colonists viewed this as taxation tyranny and decided to protest by dumping $18,000 worth of tea into the harbor. The efforts were led by Samuel Adams with 60 members of the Sons of Liberty. In retaliation, the British Parliament enacted the Coercive Acts that placed tighter restrictions on Massachusetts, including making British officials immune to criminal prosecution in America and requiring colonists to house British troops. As a result, the colonists called the First Continental Congress to consider American resistance to British rule.
Awesome. Okay, Lorena. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Commissioner Velasquez, you want to recognize some of your special guests?
I do. I would like to recognize some of the guests that did come with me tonight. Of course, my husband who did the swearing in. It was a real honor for him to do that. And our county commissioner, who is now the vice mayor of Orange County, Ms. Christine Moore. And of course, one of the candidates that did run for seat 2, who during our election, we became very close, and it's an honor for him, for me, to have him here with me, and that's Mr. Gene Knight. And of course, a very good friend of mine who's actually a retired chief here in the city of Apopka, Mr. Jeff Ty from the fire department. And I had 2 other guests, but they had to leave, so I'll just mention their name. And one was Miss Sue Kidd and Miss Mary Laverne. They were both here, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Lorena.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say that Sertoma Club was very honored to be able to put the Christmas parade on this year. It was our 44th annual Christmas parade, and I won't say that it was not without challenges, but we were very happy that we were able to do that for the city, and we could not have done it without the support of the city administration, the police and fire departments, the recreation department, the streets and grounds. They all pulled together to make this happen for the community, and I want to thank all of you first. Secondly, I want to thank all the people who came out and participated in the parade, and we're going to give some awards tonight. I'm not sure if I have representation from all of the award winners, but I'll go down and say the awards. And the first award that I'm going to give, every year we do an award that's called a special recognition. And that's for someone that doesn't really fit into any of the categories, but they really make a difference to the community. And I'd like to honor Margaret Corey and her dog Merlin in our special recognition category.
Rob, can you get?
Turn that bus around.
Can you see it? Thank you, Margaret. Okay. You need to go to the mic.
I think I talk loud. Next, we have Bishop Moore got our Best Band category, and they are represented by Tyler Rapisarda. Okay, and he is their company command. For Best Marching and Performing, we were really thrilled this year to have the Rosie O'Grady Pipes and Drums. And for those of you who don't know, they practice here at the VFW. They're local, and they were very honored to be able to play in their hometown parade. For Best Float, we're happy to present to King's Landing Adventures, and I think we have Bob Loomis here for King's Landing. I'm not sure if anyone is here from 7-Eleven, but 7-Eleven won most creative. And if you did not see their float, it had a big giant roll of toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and it was really unique. So if anyone's here from 7-Eleven,
Oh, we do.
perfect.
Now we know where to go. Yes.
And last but not least, we have Fast Signs won Best of Theme. Anyone here from Fast Signs? Perfect.
Okay, if everybody come on up, yeah.
So cute.
Yeah.
Short ones in front.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Lorena. That it was quite an interesting parade as far as the planning. And I'll tell you, Lorena really put a lot of effort in calling everybody she could to make sure we had a parade that was worthy of calling the Apopka Parade, the 44th. So, thank you and your team. Bigger and better. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Edward. Any changes to the?
There are
Agenda?
no changes to the agenda, Mayor.
Okay, all right. Susan, any?
We do. We have
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Ed Bowman?
My name is Ed Bowman. I live in 1660 Cedar Glen Drive in Wekiva Glen. I had a question about the school zone on Ponkin Road. I have 4 grandkids, and one of them rides his bike to the school. Now, I know out here on Park Avenue, it's very good on slowing people down. It's not so good on Ponkin. They have very short school zones, if you've been out there at all. Kyle, you have children go out there. So is that a county road, a city road, a state road?
There's places where it's county where we have the sidewalk and it's but if it's a school issue, as far as if you want to extend the.
Yeah, it's, when they come out of the Wekiva Run, there's one guy there and it's very short. And then you keep going up and you see a lot of sections of the fences missed from cars hitting it.
What I suggest maybe, if you'll send me an email, and then what
I
I'll
will.
do is send it on to the appropriate folks at OCPS and say, can
Okay.
you take a look at extending the slow zone for the kids? Be happy to help you.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor.
you
Thank
betcha.
Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else, Susan?
No, sir.
And can I just get one clarification? Sorry, I'm fielding a lot of requests lately as it relates to public comment. Can we just get can I get a clarification on what the policy is around when people submit stuff electronically via email? What is our stated policy about reading those aloud? And then what would be our policy for dissemination amongst commissioners, putting it as part of the public record? Can we just verbalize that so we're all clear and aligned?
Right. The easiest way to verbalize the policy is if somebody submits a comment on an item that's not on the agenda and it's submitted electronically by email, it will be distributed to all of the commissioners and it will be made. Well, once it's received, it becomes a public record. So it'll be disseminated to the commissioners for your review. It's your prerogative whether you want to review it or not, but the item is in the public record. As far as, and that's been the city's policy. It's pursuant to the resolution from 2016. I think one of the issue involved is, and where we had to do some accommodations were this year, and that was solely based on Governor DeSantis' executive order, which allowed for local governments to conduct virtual meetings, and whereas the governor suspended the requirements that there be a personal quorum for public meetings due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In that case, the city made an accommodation to allow for individuals, if they wanted to submit public comments, to be, and those public comments were read in lieu of their appearance because City Hall was closed to the public, and we were under that hybrid of a virtual meeting. But effective November 1st, Governor DeSantis' executive order relating to virtual meetings was allowed to expire. The governor did not renew that executive order, and therefore the requirement that there be public quorums for meetings is now basically back in effect. And being that the case, we've now reverted back to what is the standard protocol for public comment, and that is that the members of the public are invited to provide comment on items that are not on the agenda, and they can provide those comments here at the time that is allotted for them under the agenda. If they submit written comments, those are given, they are public records, they are given to the commissioners for you to do. Members of the public are also allowed to submit comments for items that are on the agenda, mainly, let's say, just for illustrative purposes, a zoning change or a pending development order. Those comments become a part of the record of that agenda item, and they are submitted for your review. Is when you receive your agenda packet, you would receive those emails or any written comments that were submitted prior to the hearing date. They are part of the record. They will be saved as part of the record, and they're for your use however you desire. However, that does not, because the public is allowed to and permitted and will never be stopped from providing written comments either on items on the agenda or not on the agenda, that right does not extend to that item being read aloud to the at a hearing, at a public hearing. Comments are allowed, they are received, and they're part of the record, and that is what is permissible under Florida statutes.
So if I kind of run it back to you, I don't want to misinterpret what you say. I want to be very clear because I don't want to keep on belaboring this point. So if we are at section 3 of our public comment, which talks about the written statements. So if somebody from the public is writing a written statement and not showing up to speak in person, there's not the expectation that's going to be read aloud under any circumstance.
That is correct.
Okay.
The written statement is received, it is made a part of the record, and it is a public record. But with that does not include the expectation or the obligation that any written comments are read aloud. They're received. They have as much weight as a public record once received and made a part of the commission's record.
Good, good. All right. Thank you. Okay, the consent agenda. Any items on the consent agenda that we need to pull? If not, look for a motion to approve as recommended.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
I will second
second
that.
by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Next up, Major Development Plan, Jason Dwelly, K-8 Relief School. Bobby?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Bobby Howell, Planning Manager. The applicant is requesting approval of a major development plan for a 141,952-foot K-8 school that is located at 4650 and 4700 Jason Dwelly Parkway and is approximately 15.09 acres in size. The location map is on the screen in front of you. The site is accessed via 2 access points along Jason Dwelly Parkway, which consist of one right-in, right-out that is reserved for school buses and one full access point that leads to the parking lot for the parent drop-off pickup area. Right and left turn lanes will be constructed leading into the site at the full access point, and a right turn lane will be constructed leading into the area where the school buses go into the school site. A total of 145 parking spaces are provided on site. Of the 145, 5 are accessible parking spaces. The landscape plan reserves an area consisting of existing trees and understory material adjacent to the Orchid Estates subdivision to act as a buffer between the existing subdivision and the school site. The architectural elevations are consistent with those provided in the Development Design Guidelines and the Land Development Code. And the Development Review Committee recommends approval, Planning Commission recommends approval, and staff recommends approval. If you have any questions, we'd be happy, and representatives from OCPS are here as well.
And we had just one dissenting vote, though. And it's one of the things we probably need to, I'd like to make sure that we do, Bobby, is anything where it's not a unanimous, say it was a,
Okay,
4-1 or,
absolutely.
yeah, okay. Any questions for Bobby? Yeah, Commissioner Bankson?
Just concerning the light, and it looked in one of the pages there, I think it's, I can look it up here, page 136. No, 142, concerning the signal. Is there a diagonal signal that will be strung across that intersection, a traffic light?
Pam, do you want to?
Is there,
Come on.
Not on this signal. Is that your preference?
well, on the MOT details, it showed a signal there, but I didn't see it anywhere else, so I didn't know if I was seeing that wrong. My concern there, of course, is it being a busy and large intersection, the safety for the kids.
They've recently changed the requirements for the way the lights operate, and I'll double check, because if we have to do that, or if we desire to do it, there's possibility DOT will give us some money.
Okay.
So I'll check into that for you.
Yeah, because their typical drawing here shows it as a diagonal, the 2 lanes one way, the 2 lanes the other way, so. Okay, yeah, if you could check on that. And the other, I'm just curious on the parking for an elementary school, I think you said 145?
Correct.
Is that, how do they come up with that for the parking needs for elementary? Because obviously the kids don't drive, but, parents do for, for programs and different
Why
things.
don't you be ready, but let me see if anybody else, any other commissioners want to ask Bobby a question before we bring up OCPS?
No, I'm,
You're good? Okay.
What was the last question that you asked, Commissioner?
Just about the parking and what determines that for an elementary school, why the need for certain.
Yeah, I guess it's along those same lines because the dissenting vote on the Planning Commission obviously related to parking spots,
ADA
more
parking.
specifically around ADA compliant spots. So that was the question that I had. So if the applicant wants to answer that, but from a staff point of view, obviously the point of contention was the Planning Commission member didn't think it was compliant with the amount of spaces that were there.
Correct.
The staff is saying that it is compliant with our land development code.
It is.
So competing points of view, who's right?
It's in the Land Development Code, and the amount of accessible parking spaces that are noted in the Land Development Code are tied to the Building Code, which implements ADA. So this went through the Development Review Committee, and it is spot on with what ADA requires.
You want to come on up? Great, thank you. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Jay Klima. I'm with Klima Weeks Civil Engineers. We're representing the school district on this matter. So we're certainly here to answer any of the questions that you have, but regarding the parking spaces, basically what happens with that, there is what's called an Srf requirement. It's in the building code in terms of the minimum number of spaces. I will say this, typically speaking, that quantity is much less than what we end up actually putting on the school sites. So in the case of the K-8 here, the 150 range is where we try and be. The requirements is probably closer to about 110. So we're substantially more than that. And really, it's just a matter of, over the time, working with the schools, they know that they need a certain number of spaces for a certain type of school.
So it's really something the school prefers, even though it's not required at that level?
Correct. And they have a set of what are called design guidelines. And in those guidelines, they'll talk about the target number of spaces that they want for each of the schools.
And as to the ADA
Yeah,
compliance?
so on the ADA, actually, I was going to mention, actually, the plan does have 6 spaces, which was being purported. The 6th space is in the service area. So
Should have a
pointer.
pointer there.
Look at that. Thank you.
I see it now.
Yeah, so the 6th space is actually tucked right here. And so the way we looked at it is because the way ADA works, you have to look at separate parking lots. In this particular case, since this is literally right off of here, this is viewed as an overall parking lot. And so we have 5 of them listed here, and we've got a 6th one sitting up here in the service area, because sometimes there is a handicap accessible need for cafeteria workers. and
Oh,
other
okay,
folks.
okay.
That was the question in terms of the quantity. I think the other question was related to the angle of the parking. We've taken that back, and we are still having dialogue on that internally. Honestly, the reason that we placed them as angled is because this whole traffic pattern right here is one direction. And so we tend to put in angled parking on one direction pathways because you don't want somebody to be confused backing out in the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah.
And so unless we were to change that, which we can't because that's our stacking zone, that's the reason why we have it as angled right now. And as of right now, it's likely going to stay that way.
Makes sense.
One other question?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
The other question, we have 2 dry ponds there, obviously, for water retention.
Yep, right here.
Will
Actually,
those-
there's 3.
Oh, there's 3, okay.
There's one here too.
Okay, yeah, I saw that one and the other one.
One here
That one.
and a 3rd one right here.
That one, okay. Bottom line, is there a fencing around that? What type of fencing, obviously, especially with younger children?
Sure. So again, on the school sites, especially at this age, the K-8 level, if it has the ability to be able to hold more than 12 inches of water, we have to put a fence around it by code. And so all 3 of these will have a fence. The school district standard is 6-foot black vinyl chain link fence.
Okay, so it is chain link.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any other Commissioner Becker?
Yeah, I mean, the only, and Commissioner Banks touched on it too, a little bit on the lighting. Are you doing some like light shielding near the track to not impact the homes on the western side of that, or the southern part, I should say?
Yes, so what we did there was a pretty decent stand of trees. You can kind of see it here on the plan, the little wavy lines. That's intended to show the existing trees that are there. So what we actually did end up going back through and making sure that we did was retain as much of that vegetation, that natural vegetation as possible in that corner. It is pretty thick too. I mean, there's a couple of light spots, but we're actually in our landscape plan putting additional materials in those light spots. There's 2 of them. And one of them was about right in here and the other is about right in here. So between the natural and what we're proposing, we're putting a pretty decent tree buffer there.
And then, I hate to be the kind of a broken record with Commissioner Bankson, but yeah, on that page, that is a little bit confusing on page 142 in our packet, where it talks about it almost gives the indication that there's a signalization as well as 4 lanes in each direction. How should we interpret that? Because obviously we're approving a plan here.
I'm not sure which page that you're referring to, but
It's,
that's most likely.
MOT details.
It's a standard
C304.
DOT detail, so basically what we do is we pull those in. That's probably for the MOT. So those are set up on standards. It doesn't necessarily, all of the specifics don't necessarily apply in every case. So specifically to this site, there is no traffic signal at the main entrance, nor is there proposed to be. What we did end up doing as part of the project is we're adding a right turn lane, and because of the right turn lane being added here, the left turn lane actually shifted over into the median. So we've got a dedicated right going into the campus, and then on the opposite side, we also took some of the median area to generate a left turn movement into the campus as well.
So, do we have that in this presentation, that what we're talking about? Can we just,
In this presentation, yeah. So what we have is the landscape plan and then the site plan, so the details on it.
because you get where I'm going, I mean, we're approving something here, and if there's details in here that I'm not kind of clear what it means, what is it telling me? It's C304, if you can punch it up and just at least give it to the applicant. Or I can provide you my iPad.
That's our off-site code.
Yeah, Commissioner,
page 142 you're referring
In our packet, 142.
That's one of their standard ones. It doesn't really apply to this at all. The previous one on page 141.
But can you come and just articulate, so we're using words like standard and normal, but I don't, standard what? I don't know how to interpret that.
A lot of times when there's packets that are put together for submittal for approvals, they put in what it's termed a standard intersection improvement. In this case, this page actually doesn't need to be in here because it leads to confusion, basically. The previous page, yeah, that particular one. The previous page on 141, that's the one that actually shows that intersection and the improvements. That's the one that probably we should pay more attention to.
Yeah, because I'd like to caveat our approval here, because, I mean, if the public looks at this and says, okay, well, what, are you putting a signal in here? And my response is, well, that's just a standard and it doesn't apply. That's kind of an awkward conversation.
So let me expand on that just a little bit. So those three pictures that are shown on that particular sheet, those are what are called FDOT, MOT standard indexes. So that's what we mean by a standard. So DOT prepares standard ways of what these plans are showing is how it's going to be signalized, how it's going to be identified during construction. And so that's what's going on in that particular case. And as we mentioned, it's just the four lanes coming in different directions doesn't apply in this particular site. So that index number 102615 in the lower corner would not be applicable to this site. But the other ones on the top, they're talking about, this is when it's under construction. What they're showing you is how the construction signs will be erected, how the barricades will be erected, different things like that, depending on where the work effort is going on, whether it's in the median or on the side of the road. And that's what we mean by standard indexes or standard typical sections. Does that make more sense?
Yep.
Meaning it's a typical that if we were to have lighting there, that would typically be how it would be done. But
Exactly.
that doesn't mean there's lighting in this particular.
In this particular case, correct.
So typicals, yeah, okay, I got it.
I understand the confusion on the standard though. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. All right, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? If not, close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve the plan as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2801.
Ordinance number, hold on one second.
Excuse me, I'm jumped
27.
ahead. Yes.
Okay.
Ordinance number 2791. Sorry.
Ordinance number 2791. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan of the City of Apopka by amending policy 3.1 of the Public Schools Facilities element, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Any changes? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to adopt ordinance number 2791.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Becker,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bankson. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2798.
Okay, ordinance number 2798. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from county rural to city industrial for certain real property located north of Ocoee Apopka Road and east of State Road 451, comprising 8.76 acres more or less and owned by Sandroni Joseph L. Estate, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Bobby, any changes? Okay, anybody from public wish to speak on this matter? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to adopt ordinance number 2798.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2799.
Ordinance number 2799. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from T Transitional District to IL Light Industrial District for certain real property located north of Ocoee Apopka Road and east of State Road 451, comprising 8.76 acres more or less and owned by Sandroni Joseph L. Estate, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Bobby, any changes? Okay, anybody from public wishes to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to adopt ordinance number 2799.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Ordinance number 2800.
Ordinance number 2800, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from county industrial and city industrial to city commercial for certain real property located south of West Orange Blossom Trail and west of Lakeview Drive, comprising 4.88 acres more or less, and owned by Mid-Florida Freezer Properties LLC, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Bobby, any changes? Anybody from public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to adopt ordinance number 2800.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2801.
Ordinance number 2801, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from T Transitional District and IL Light Industrial District to C Corridor Commercial District for certain real property located south of West Orange Blossom Trail and west of Lakeview Drive, comprising 4.88 acres more or less, and owned by Mid-Florida Freezers Properties LLC, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Bobby, any no changes? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 2801.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 2808.
Ordinance number 2808, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from transitional T to residential country estate, RCE, for certain real property located at 1701 Hermit Smith Road, comprising 2.52 acres more or less, and owned by John and Grace Johnson, providing for directions to the Community Development Director, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Okay, Bobby, any changes? Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to adopt ordinance number 2808.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, Resolution 2020-38. Jamie?
Okay. Resolution number 2020-38, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the budget for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2020, and ending September 30th, 2021, providing for a budget amendment.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jamie Roberson, Finance Director for the City of Apopka. This amendment includes changes in revenues and appropriations for the general fund related to our retirement plans following the provisions of Chapter 175 and 185, in which we received 2019 state premium tax money for our fire and police pension plans in fiscal year 2021. So basically, we had to recognize the revenue that came in for both of those plans and recognize an expenditure so we could send it to the Prudential Retirement Plan Administrator for our pension plans. Once these funds are received, we are required to submit them to the retirement plans as an employer contribution. This transaction is recognizing the revenue received and the associated appropriation. And the larger piece of the budget amendment includes changes in revenues and appropriations for fiscal year, it should say 2020 purchase order carryovers into fiscal year 2021, in which are related to either contractual obligations or capital projects, or they could be potentially POs that were rolled over into 2021 because we were still paying 2020 expenditures at the end of the year. So that totals approximately $9.1,298.78.
Any questions for Jamie?
We kind of do this once a year, right? It's
Yeah.
an accounting kind of
It's an accounting mechanism.
practice. I guess my only question, my CYA question, right? It's all of the stuff, all the line items on here, ones that are applicable already have our approval from council. The transaction itself, the approval, all that sort of stuff has already happened at a transactional level. This is more of a treatment, accounting treatment, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's an accounting treatment because those actual encumbrances have to roll over into the next fiscal year for budgetary purposes. So it's almost as if you're reappropriating them into the new year. Last year, the number was $10.9 million, so it's a little bit lower this year.
Any other questions for Jamie? Okay, look for a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-38.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bankson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Edward?
Mayor, you have your city council.
Oh, I'm sorry, city council report.
It's on the
Yes.
bottom of that one,
And
yeah.
I need to wear my glasses more often. I guess we'll start our newest. Commissioner Velasquez, this is kind of your chance to say what's going on out there, or good, bad, or indifferent, so.
The city's really busy, and I've attended already a few events out there. Of course, the one with Shop with a Cop, I got to do that last night, and it was an interesting way because of COVID that they broke it up, and they're doing it for 2 weeks, 10 students per evening. And actually, it went really smooth. I mean, we were in and out of the shopping for the toys within like an hour. And I've done it when we've done 100 at one time. And I actually mentioned to Jason Wiggins that the way they did it this time, because of COVID, I found was much smoother, and we got to enjoy the students a little bit better. So I think he's thinking about keeping it kind of a permanent way, because it was easier for him to manage. And I just find that we have more time to kind of interact with the students. And the students were able to kind of go in and out of the aisles with much more ease, rather than everybody rushing to take a toy or something. So just want to give a big kudos to our officer, Jason Wiggins. And thank you for inviting me to participate toward the end of it. Yeah.
Good, all right. Commissioner Bankson.
Again, congratulations to Commissioner Velasquez.
Thank you.
And looking forward to working together. And I don't know if it's just the Christmas season and everybody's focused on other things, but the emails have died down, so that's either a good sign or they're just reloading. But, it really is exciting, and it's good when our citizens communicate with us, because then we can work on help and follow up on different things, and just have seen some things resolved and some communication go forward that just gives a lot more peace to members of the community. So I enjoy working together in that aspect. Other than that, Merry Christmas to all.
Okay. Commissioner Smith.
I too would like to, again, congratulate Commissioner Vasquez for her election and come back to serve on the city council.
Thank you very
I did
much.
before earlier, so just want to do that again publicly. Second of all, the Foliage Department did an outstanding job with our Christmas parade this year. Attendance was very well received, even with the COVID and the pandemic. And so everybody was really excited about the bagpipes. And so we're hoping that we have those continually in our parade. And then the comments from the concert after the parade were just outstanding, and people were really supportive of the idea of how they laid out the squares on the ground to do the social distancing. They walked up and they looked and they go, oh, if it's a red X, that means you don't sit there. And so more people were sitting in the grass and were sitting underneath the covered area. And so it was a very, very well-attended concert. And I've had an opportunity now to participate with Shop and the Cops for 2 nights. So that was also a great event. So we just want to continue doing what we're doing in the city, and we're still looking for that deputy chief.
Commissioner Becker.
So this is going to start to sound echoing as we're coming down here,
Okay.
but welcome back, Commissioner Velasquez.
Thank you.
We don't sit right next to each other anymore,
No.
but And
Yeah, I had to
won't say-
separate you two.
Yeah. But
This is the fun end.
but congratulations. I'm a little jealous. Doug should be too, or Commissioner Begson. You actually had an audience in here and people to actually witness it. I mean, ours was a very intimate, almost a camera-only type of environment. So welcome back. Look forward to serving with you. And certainly as well, the parade was fantastic. You know, Lorena said something about it had some hiccups, but I sure didn't see them that morning. I thought it was very well run. And I sent a note to staff too, for just a well-run event up at the amphitheater. I mean, it's just great to use and leverage that asset. It was a great concert and heard all great things. It's funny, the only negative thing I heard about it was just, you know, after the fact, everybody's posting these nice pictures and these videos, and everybody's like, oh, I didn't know about that. It's like, there's no magic bullet to communicate to everybody, and we just got to figure that one out. But, you know, everybody that was able to attend it just had a phenomenal time, my family included. And then lastly, I thought we were going to do some opposite effect, talking about the deputy chief position. You know, obviously, I still think that we're at risk if we don't have an HR director level position. Q1's quickly wrapping up. We have a funded position. I just think that we're at tremendous risk if we don't have someone that's fully qualified to run that department. So I'm hoping, we've had these conversations, I'm hoping that we can get to there sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you. All right, Edward?
I do not have anything tonight. I'll have some updates for you at the January meeting on some things, but I don't have anything this evening other than, you know, I want to also thank the staff for this year. This is our last meeting of the year, and also wish everybody a happy holiday and be safe.
Can I just say thank you, Edward? I missed my meeting yesterday with him because I didn't realize it was a standalone meeting. You do show up. I didn't show up because he said, if you don't have any questions. But he gave me the time this morning at 9 o'clock, and I was with him till almost 11:30. So thank you very much for the guidance and everything that you did for me this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right. Anything from the city attorney?
I have a brief update, a brief report. I guess first I'd like to welcome Commissioner Velasquez. I can't say welcome back because I wasn't here the first time you were around. But as I've told the other members of this council, as a city attorney, I represent the city. I don't represent any of you individually, but my policy, I have an open door policy. Anytime you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to walk right in. And I'm there and I'm available for any counsel you may need.
Okay, thank you.
Secondly, just want to give a brief update. On Friday, I did receive 2 petitions for recognition and certification from the IIAF, which is the International Association of Firefighters. They have filed with the state of Florida for certification of a bargaining unit. They have submitted 2 separate petitions, so they're trying to create 2 bargaining units. One bargaining unit is for the district chiefs, which is a bargaining unit that consists of 3 people. The second bargaining unit is for the rest of the firefighters, engineers, and lieutenants. We are in the early preliminary stages. We actually haven't even received the acknowledgement yet from the state. I've already filed a notice of appearance on behalf of the city so that we can receive the notifications, but we will proceed forward with these proceedings in the same similar vein as we have done with the police department, which is still ongoing, even though I've been informed that the way the Public Employee Relations Commission acts is different than any other administrative judicial body, in that which the parties have come to an agreement, and yet we still have to prove our case to the hearing officer, even though we have come to an agreement. So once we get that squared away, it is proceeding accordingly, and we will do the same with the firefighters in their petition.
Just a quick question. So at what stage do we what's the first stage that this council, this board kind of gets involved, just from a timing?
Well, it would be until after certification. So once PERC, which is the Public Employees Relations Commission, does complete the certification, then allows them to proceed forward to a vote, and then they vote on whether or not to actually become a bargaining unit. Now, once we have a bargaining unit, then it becomes at that point in time is when you may have then collective bargaining. So as far as the police are concerned, we're still early as concerned as the firefighters. We're really early in the process. Now, in the meantime, the state statutes do provide that the city still can exercise its First Amendment, can discuss matters, can speak to the proposed bargaining unit members. The only thing that the state law prohibits is any type of coercion or intimidation or any undue influence. But educational materials and educational language is permitted during the entire process.
Okay.
And that's
Thank you.
all.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Okay, under the mayor's report, congratulations, Commissioner Velasquez. I know you worked hard last 90 days or so, for sure.
I did.
Just along those lines, I didn't want to bring it up during the swearing in, but I want to just kind of give you a little update on the election. Is cost of the election, we swapped out the VFW for Bill's time, so we were able, all the backroom stuff that Supervisor of Elections did for us, we basically swapped that out. So the only costs we had were the advertising and the Apopka chief, along with to pay the part-time employees that came out to do the actual election. So the cost for the election was $3,740. The other thing I want to do is thank Linda Goff. I know, Susan, we were man down going into the election, so rather than, put that extra burden on her, I brought, Linda Goff was happy to come back, run the election for us. So, if you see her, out there, thank her for helping us through the election. Yeah, she did a nice job, and I know to compliment Susan, I didn't need to overload, Susan as we were,
Both Susan and Linda spent a lot of time with my husband, because it was the first time that he was my treasurer, but it was the first time he was doing it online.
Yeah.
And I have to say that Linda and Sue spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah. Okay, next item, had a great Zoom call with Jeff Weatherford, with our Wekiva Glen folks, as far as looking at the on-site septic tank replacement. So I think according to on-site, we picked up maybe 6 more people that are interested in converting over to this new system. A lot of good questions were asked, a lot of good, comments, and so by the end of the evening, on-site had gotten 6 additional requests to take the initial inspection, and then we can determine, whether they qualify or whether what the cost would be to the homeowner. But looks really promising. We were talking looks like the on-site systems could save north of 400 pounds per year per septic tank. So a great savings as we try to meet our BMAP over the next 20 years. So it was a really positive meeting, and thanks Jeff and his team and on-site for helping us with that. Last couple things, back to the police department. 105 children helped, as Commissioner Velasquez said. The fire department, not to be outdone, donated 14 bikes to the Apopka Middle School, 20 bikes to Apopka High School, and helped over 465 families. So they, as well as our police, did a great job helping out those in need here in our area. And then our folks here at City Hall and over the annex donated to the Angel program for the homeless kids that reside at, or that go to school at Apopka Memorial Middle School. So thank you to all the city employees out there that made some kind of contribution to the folks that are less fortunate here in our Apopka area. I know your gratitude is overwhelming. So we want to thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, let's all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.